Anton Daniels is being a little disingenuous with his content. He does tell truths, but many of them are half-truths.
Hate and being labeled the enemy is a fixed cost of you making any stance, especially publicly on a platform with the mic when it comes to anything involving politics at this time.
The young man has a screwdriver. He has a screwdriver now in this video, because when I reviewed it, when I just played it really quickly yesterday, I didn't know that it was going to be a viral moment.
Shisha, you should do a reaction to Anton Daniels' reaction. I think it would be good. All right, so obviously this is about the MAGA debaters showing up at the HBCU campus, and I'm actually going to react to an O'Shea Duke Jackson video titled, "What Anton Daniels is Doing to Black America is Plain Evil."
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
I just can't believe it. I mean, I can believe it because I'm watching it, and I know what the culture is like because I was raised in it, but it doesn't mean that it makes it right.
Recently, I've been covering the decline of many Black conservative commentators, people such as the Hodge twins and even Officer Brandon Tatum. And of course, what I'm saying about them is true. At least I feel so. While they are right on many issues and aspects of their commentary, they tell half-truths, meaning that they don't explain the entire situation as to why something is going on. They're pretty much just cut and paste. This is happening and Blacks are to blame. But when you look at the whole situation, it's more to be told there. And in the comment sections of the videos, one name keeps coming up: Anton Daniels.
Quick side note, does anybody notice that O'Shea Duke Jackson's videos have gotten, like, the production has gotten so good?
For example, look at this. You can add Anton Daniels to the list too. Keep calling him out, Unc. Anton Daniels is next. We lost him to the system. Anton Daniels, he's the same as the twins. I know you're cool with Anton, but that's what Anton Daniels do.
Damn!
So guys, I gotta offer you an apology. I was being hypocritical. I mentioned a few days ago, Brandon Tatum calls out Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes for being anti-Semitic, but never mentions Candace Owens. And Candace Owens is his friend. And in fact, Candace Owens is probably more anti-Semitic, or at least the Israel may think so, than the other two. In the same way, Anton Daniels has been putting out some pretty interesting content that I disagree with. But I am friendly with Anton Daniels. It is because Anton Daniels, when I first met him, wasn't as big as he is now, and he's much bigger and a better YouTuber than me. But Anton Daniels is different than Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens, or the Hodge twins. Number one, Anton Daniels is married to a Black woman.
He's right, you know.
Now, his commentary might be different, but his actions still qualify as partially being pro-Black. Anton Daniels may be harshly critical of Black Americans and what we do. He has a lovely Black wife. I've spoken to her before. A Black daughter. He's taking care of a Black family. Okay.
Wait. Is that the qualification for being pro-Black? Just wondering. I mean, I'm married to a Black woman, Black child. Plan to have several more. I don't know. Comment down below.
Okay. 2, Anton Daniels largely has a Black base. And at first, he was marketing his content towards the Black community. All the Black podcasts he has, the live events he's done, he monetizes a Black audience, which I respect. He wasn't trying to just get to an all-white audience. Anton Daniels has definitely grown his offline presence. He's appeared on Fox News. He's appeared on Dr. Phil. And this is a part of his marketing strategy. He's not staying still. And that's why Anton Daniels is probably going to cross 1 million subscribers in the next 2 weeks or a few weeks because, number one, of his work ethic and exactly how he moves around. His strategy is really monetizing the Black community while being harshly critical of it. And he's one of the few people that have shown that you can strongly do that. 3, Anton Daniels has a wider range of content. He can cover red pill things, he can cover geopolitical things, and he can then come back and criticize the Black community, which is different than the Hodge twins, who all they talk about is Black fatigue, or even Officer Tatum, or even Candace Owens. He covers more culturally than the other ones. So that's kind of why I didn't want to really bring him up a lot. You're right, I'm a hypocrite, and I gotta call it out. You guys got me.
Got him!
Anton Daniels is being a little disingenuous with his content. He does tell truths, but many of them are half-truths. And I have an example of what I'm talking about. Rewind.
Guys, I'm going to give my take here. I've got some thoughts, but I just want to let this play just a little bit more, just so I can really hear O'Shea Duke Jackson's stance here on this particular topic.
On September 23rd, 2025, a duo called Fearless Debates showed up unannounced at Tennessee State University and were escorted off campus. And of course, for me, this was a slam dunk case of what transpired. But this is where me and Anton Daniels differ. Anton Daniels saw it the same way that other black conservatives saw it, that the students were rowdy and the students were tripping. And of course, they were, right? I'm not going to say that they could have handled themselves better because, yes, they did stereotypically look bad at a certain point. I'm not going to argue that. But that's not all. Anton Daniels, after covering it, points something out that's pretty interesting.
I have no clue how many HBCUs exist. I have no clue how many HBCUs are actually on an up and up.
But if anyone is curious, there are 107 HBCUs. Did you guys know that? I'm actually surprised by this number in the United States as recognized by the U.S. Department of Education. 107. Wow.
But as you can see in the cover photo of this video, the young man has a screwdriver. He has a screwdriver now in this video, because when I reviewed it, when I just played it really quickly yesterday, I didn't know that it was going to be a viral moment.
So Anton Daniels is talking about this student that's holding a screwdriver, all right? And it doesn't seem like the person who has the screwdriver is actually trying to fix something. It looks like the person has a screwdriver in case something pops off. But Anton Daniels is bringing this up to basically prove his point that you have students at HBCUs who don't want to engage in debate, and these black students are violent. And this is a point that he typically would like to prove in this content. Till I wanted to find out, is it a crime to have a screwdriver? I even went to Google AI, and it says no. It is not inherently illegal to possess a screwdriver, but carrying one with the intent to commit a crime, such as a burglary, can make it illegal. The legality depends on the intent behind possessing the tool rather than the tool itself.
I know I'm going a bit, guys, here. I have some stuff to say. Hang in there with me. I want to hear O'Shea Duke Jackson's point here.
So a screwdriver can also be considered a burglary tool or even an offensive weapon if it is intended to cause harm or to facilitate a crime. All right. What Anton Daniels is trying to do is to present a situation that's not even there. The student never used a screwdriver. The student never attacked anybody with the screwdriver. But here's where the half-truths come in. Anton Daniels, could you tell me a reason why a student would have a screwdriver?
On alert and on pause, at least 6 historically black colleges have halted activities after receiving potential threats against their campuses. The lockdown measures come in the wake of yesterday's shooting of Charlie Kirk, though officials have not linked any of those threats to that shooting.
All right, so here's what I think so far. I'll start here. Number one, hate and being labeled the enemy is a fixed cost of you making any stance, especially publicly on a platform with the mic, when it comes to anything involving politics at this time. I'll say it again. We are living in a time where you have to accept that hate and being labeled the enemy, no matter what you believe, is a fixed cost and consequence of taking any stance publicly with the mic on a public platform in this current political climate. Now, you may have heard that and said, now, Chisha, just because I disagree with somebody doesn't mean I hate them. I just don't want to associate with them or listen to what they have to say, maybe consume their content. I believe you. I don't think this is the majority of people yet, right? Do I think it could head that way? I think it can, but I don't think it's the majority of people. But if we're going to be honest, most of us, when we stumble on a platform, especially if we know and have a hint of where that person stands when it comes to maybe social issues, whether they are more liberal in their values or more conservative, we expect that they're going to be a little bit biased. Or I'll be honest, I am biased, right? As a man who understands the male experience, I am biased when it comes to advocating for men. And again, I believe if most people are going to be honest, when you stumble on someone's platform, you expect that they're going to have their biases. What we hope, though, when we listen to somebody is, okay, I get where you're coming from. I know where you're going to go, but I can at least bet that you're not going to be dishonest, or the aim should be that this person shouldn't be so dishonest that you can't take them seriously on anything anymore whatsoever. And so when it comes to this situation, what I'm understanding, and correct me if you disagree in the comment section down below, is that O'Shea Duke Jackson looks at someone like Anton Daniels and says, okay, listen, I get that these are your values and you identify as conservative and particularly Republican. So I get where you're coming from. However, in this particular situation, it sounds like he believed Anton Daniels crossed the line into being unreasonably biased. Quick side note, you know what's also interesting? This interaction between O'Shea Duke Jackson and Anton Daniels, when I say the interaction, I'm talking about the comment that Anton Daniels left on this video. He says, appreciate the visibility. Thanks, O'Shea. Love you, bro. And then you have O'Shea Duke Jackson who responded and says, Anton, love you too. You better than me at this now. Now give me some money. Now you guys might think I'm absolutely crazy for giving this comparison, but it's just going to prove my point, right? People are going to be like, how dare you? Do you guys remember when there's a video when Donald Trump and Obama were at some event and they were there sitting right next to each other, being friendly with one another?
There's a moment right there. Barack Obama sitting next to President Trump. Suffice it to say, something you just...
What were the majority of the comments? The majority of the comments were things like, oh my goodness, I can't believe Obama is there having a friendly conversation with Trump. This is disgusting. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. And you had people on the other side saying, oh my goodness, Obama is such a crook, the worst thing to ever happen to America. And I laughed at that because I thought, man, the amount of passion people have and beef that they have when they agree with one public figure or president more than they do with the other, they usually end up in the situation where they hate the other side. And when you look at those actual people who are the forefront of those particular movements or those particular values or that particular party, they're willing to discuss, right? They're actually willing to have a conversation. And of course, you have your conspiracy theorists out there who are like, oh, they're all in it. They're all in cahoots together. It's all a game. It's a show. Listen, I believe some conspiracies are true. But what's my stance on this actual topic? As somebody who identifies as a follower of Christ, being an imperfect Christian before anything else, and I only make that point so that you understand where my worldview is being filtered through. Well, my stance is exactly the same as it was in my last video on the HBCU topic and the debaters showing up, the MAGA debaters, which was, no, I'm not surprised that those students reacted in that way. I'm not. And I think most people aren't shocked. Come on, most people aren't shocked. And especially considering the tension around that time. I mean, think about what they're being told. Yes, we all consume programming. You program yourself, whether you like it or not. I bet you for most of those students, when they heard that MAGA debaters were on their campus, based on the media that they've been consuming, that MAGA is the enemy, Charlie Kirk was a net negative and a racist, which I disagree with. I think he was a net positive, by the way. But if you understand that, then you have a pretty good idea how they would react. And no, I don't put it past internet trolls to start sending threats to HBCUs the same way that we've seen threats sent by far left people, even though they would deny it, right? Because either side denies that these things happen on either extreme. Now, would I have turned away that debate and conversation? I wouldn't have. I would have sat there and actually spoke with them. And listen, I know there are people who want me to say, O'Shea Duke Jackson is 100% wrong, or Anton Daniels is 100% wrong, or anybody with the MAGA hat on is 100% wrong. I get it. I even upset people who lean conservative like I do on many issues, but think that I add too much nuance or try to play the middle. It's not me trying to play the middle. I'm sorry. I will not lie or pretend like I don't get value from both of these channels, and I consume both of their channels once in a while. And guys, one thing I admire about O'Shea Duke Jackson especially is he's very humble. He gives flowers to people, right? I've seen him do that many times to Anton Daniels here in this video, but do not get it twisted. O'Shea Duke Jackson is relentless and one of the hardest working people on YouTube I have seen. And I've only been in this for about 5 years. I knew this when I saw this video titled O'Shea Duke Jackson shares his African journey and key tips. As you guys, most of you probably know, he lives in Uganda, Odiotia. That's a message to O'Shea. I am not from Uganda. I was born in Zambia, migrated here when I was 7, raised in the US pretty much my whole life. But this video was so eye-opening to me. Check it out.
What's good, Pan-African Lifestyle? My name is O'Shea Duke Jackson. I'm from Sacramento, California. I am the creative director over at Kinganda Studio.
By the way, the other thing, you know, why this stood out to me. I grew up in Sacramento, right? I've heard O'Shea plenty of times talk about like the Stockton area, Elk Grove area. I used to go to the Art and Fair Mall, you know, when I was young. I grew up, hung around Sacramento. My family still lives in Sacramento.
And this is my story. So I always wanted to come to the continent of Africa, and in 2017, I decided to do so, coming to Kampala, Uganda. At first, I really didn't like it, but the country grew on me. I decided to come back February 2018, that coming to Uganda would be a part of my life forever. So I own Kinganda Studios. We have a production company here in the country. We produce 2 things that are really African-based. The Kinganda Repat podcast, in which we have a podcast that embodies all of the Black diaspora coming back to Uganda or other places. And then we also have the Pan-African Dating Show.
Listen, I actually tune in once in a while to the Pan-African Dating Show. But yeah, this video is on Pan-African lifestyle. O'Shea Duke Jackson is a very hard worker. Let's get back into this video and keep listening.
On September 11, 2025, Charlie Kirk officially died after being shot on September 10th. HBCUs went under lockdown, meaning that MAGA supporters or Charlie Kirk supporters were making death threats to HBCUs. And these HBCUs, nor the students or the staff, had anything to do with what happened in Utah. In fact, HBCU campuses are so far removed from Utah, it's ridiculous. It's literally on the other side of the country. So even though they were not at fault, these people, white people, I'm assuming, were calling and threatening these schools. And which schools went under lockdown? Well, we can see Alabama State University, Virginia State University, Hampton University, Southern University, Clark Atlanta University, Spelman College, Bethune-Cookman University. So the states that were affected are Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, Georgia, Virginia. Students are on lockdown. Some people are afraid to go to class, okay? This was just 12 days ago. In Tennessee State or Fisk University, none of these states were mentioned. But guess what? You see these MAGA students come onto the campus, and every HBCU had to be on high alert. There's no way that these schools could be under lockdown and the other schools don't understand what's going on. Every school is taking security precautions at this time. All right? However, Anton Daniels doesn't want to mention why the student may have had a screwdriver. And obviously, if I'm a student there, it would be from protection, because these whites have been talking about threatening blacks. Then you have some whites who are emboldened enough to come onto your campus, and you didn't expect them to be there, which we'll get into a little bit later, but they came anyway.
So that's another point I would actually agree with. By the way, guys, I'm not a debater, right? I'm not a professional debater. However, I appreciate conversations. I appreciate debates. I appreciate watching them, mostly because I'm not huge into debate myself. I thought what Charlie Kirk was able to do before he sadly passed away was powerful, being able to bring people to have difficult conversations in a time where most people were afraid to challenge issues or speak out because you don't want to be labeled or hated for taking a stance, which again is a fixed cost that you just have to accept. Now, with that being said, I don't think, and we're going to talk to our AI system barista here, Miss Coffee, I don't think that Charlie Kirk would just show up to these colleges without giving them a heads up. Miss Coffee, real quick question for you. Did Charlie Kirk plan events and debates at college campuses, as in were these scheduled ahead of time with the colleges so that they knew and could prepare for these debates? I'm assuming he did, especially considering how large they were. Or did he just show up randomly?
Most of his campus events were planned ahead of time as part of official tours. Usually, they were coordinated through Turning Point USA chapters on those campuses. That means the universities did know and could prepare, especially for larger events. It wasn't a just show up and surprise the campus type of thing.
So yeah, that's what I thought. I think my question to O'Shea here also would be, the way I'm hearing this kind of being presented. And maybe this is part of that bias that we all have, including myself. But there's a slight implication that Charlie Kirk would have encouraged trolls online to threaten HBCUs, and that's what he stood for. In this particular video, he's sort of putting like those white nationalists and Charlie Kirk are in the same bucket, which they're not. And they do exist, even though people may try to act like they don't, they do. But I don't think that's the case. I should also add that I haven't watched a lot of content from O'Shea that particularly addresses Charlie Kirk. So maybe he's already made that distinction. Comment down below. Maybe you can fill me in. Let's keep watching.
So would you go and get a screwdriver protection? Yeah, I probably wouldn't do it myself, but it's the point of why they're doing it. Why are these students acting hostile? Literally, MAGA threatened them. And this is what Anton Daniels leaves out.
And that's what I mean right there. Maybe it's an honest mistake. I've made this mistake. Instead of saying, hey, there are a concerning amount of people on the left who want more violence and believe you should be shot and killed for what you stand for, I've said, hey, looks like the left supports violence. And do I actually believe that? I believe the first thing I said, which is that there's a concerning, growing amount of people on the left who do support violence. Now, my stance, right? It doesn't have to be your stance. My stance may change in the future to the majority of them, depending on how things go. And that should be concerning for all of us.
So many of these guys leaves out. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, black people do a lot of things that don't make sense. And of course, we got to call that out. But he don't want to call out the fact that MAGA was threatening black students. He want to leave that all the way out. And that's what is disingenuous, in my honest opinion. Let's go into more of his commentary.
This young white man was looking to have conversations and debate on the campus of Tennessee State University, which is an HBCU. And when he pulled up to Tennessee State University, I'm pretty sure that he anticipated some pushback, but I'm not sure if he anticipated a practically a riot.
So he says here, he thought that these guys would try to start a riot. Okay, now if he believes that, if Anton Daniels believes that, he thought it would cause some confusion going into an HBCU. It says here,
and when he pulled up to Tennessee State University, I'm pretty sure that he anticipated some pushback, but I'm not sure if he anticipated a practically a riot.
So he says here, he thought that these guys would try to start a riot. Okay, now if he believes that, if Anton Daniels believes that, he thought it would cause some confusion going into an HBCU, then let's look at why the person would come to an HBCU.
All right. That's as much as I want to watch. You guys are going to check out the rest of the video for yourselves. Listen, I'm a fan of both O'Shea Duke Jackson and Anton Daniels. I sort of look at both of them like my older OGs who I have learned a lot from just by watching how they move, their consistency, creating content. And I heard O'Shea Duke Jackson there talk about how Anton Daniels makes content about a variety of topics. I think that is something that a lot of people are doing, mainly because the way people consume content is changing, right? Channels aren't judged on just their cohesion anymore, but by an individual video and how that video performs. And by default of that, it increases the number of people who you can talk to and the different things you can discuss. I wish them both the best on their platforms going forward. You know, I decided to become more outspoken about certain political topics because I saw that Bible-believing Christians, followers of Christ, are being more targeted. Not only that, are being labeled homophobic, racist, and a concerning growing number of people, majority of them on the left, seem to take joy and are calling for more people, in particular Christians, seem to be more in support for violence against Christians and people who embrace conservative Christian values. And because of my faith, what I believe, I couldn't sit here owning a platform and just remain silent. I had to speak, regardless of the hate and consequences that may follow, even the worst of them. Because I truly believe when it comes to this life, at the end of the day, Democrats are not going to save you, neither are the Republicans. I believe Jesus is the answer to my own personal life and yours, if you will, accept him. And no, I'm not the perfect Christian. Yes, I appreciate you reminding me over and over again. That's why I lean on Christ and not myself. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men. If you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.